Back in 2020, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris vowed to ensure environmental justice for poor folks and people of color who are disproportionately harmed by pollution. People living in Cancer Alley have a 95% greater chance of developing cancer than the average American. In 2022, President Biden's EPA administrator, Michael Reid, launched a civil rights investigation into whether black citizens' rights were being violated in Louisiana when air pollution permits were issued. The EPA was able to find examples and was working with the state to correct that. But that investigation came to a halt when Louisiana's Attorney General, Jeff Landry, who is now the state's governor, insisted that chemical companies have a say in the investigation. Oh, and while he was doing that, he was also suing the EPA over that investigation. Here's the best part. Landry claimed the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, was discriminating against white Louisianans. Boy, doesn't that sound familiar. You see that whole reverse racism argument and deregulation? Those are the key principles littered throughout Project 2025. Last week, a Trump-appointed judge gave Landry and Project 2025 the big old stamp of approval when he ruled in Landry's favor. You see, corporations are not just people. They are more important than people. Joining me now is Gary Chambers, Jr., former Louisiana Democratic nominee for the United States Senate and currently the curator of Civics for the People. And we sure need Civics for the People, Gary Chambers. It's good to see you. Let's talk about Cancer Alley and your governor, who has decided that they are less important than polluters. Your thoughts?
You know, Jeff Landry has done everything but help the people of Louisiana since he's been governor. James Cain has joined him. And when people ask me, why am I so gung-ho to vote for Kamala Harris? Because she's not going to appoint judges like James Cain, who support people like Jeff Landry to harm black folks in poor communities. Most people don't understand, but the plants are labeled or located on the west side of the river, most of in Louisiana mostly. So some of them are in East Baton Rouge Parish on the east side, but this is in poor communities. These are next to black neighborhoods. And so when James Cain says that unless it's intentional discrimination, well, when you intentionally locate a plant next to a black community and every one of the plants seem to be next to poor black communities, the question has to be, who are you polluting and why are you intentionally locating these facilities next to black communities only? Louisiana is not majority black, but all of the plants are majority in black neighborhoods.
Yeah. And the reality is, you know, you fight this all the time. I love your Instagram because you are just constantly trying to educate people about their rights. This is why you vote. Jeff Landry was, as you said, he was an attorney general. He got elected. His primary, only about 32% of people turned out. The general election, it was 23%. There were parts of black Louisiana, it was 10% because and I got that from your social media. Are people not making the connection that they can change this? There was a Democratic governor for 2 terms who got health care into Louisiana. And then you got this guy who seems to be willing to let Louisianans die.
I think that there's a disconnect because there's a huge lack of investment. So when you look at Louisiana being 50, it's not by accident, it's by design. The people here don't want the Democrats to come help, and they make sure that every win that we do get is fought back with every fiber of their being. Jeff Landry, the entire time he was Attorney General, fought against things that help black communities. Now, as governor, he hadn't created a single job. Now, as a conservative who's supposed to be pro-business and helping create a stronger economy, you would think that he would spend time doing things other than banning critical race theory, which is not taught in schools in Louisiana, and putting the 10 Commandments in classrooms. If you want to do something for the people of Louisiana, help provide jobs and opportunities for poor rural communities that you say you come from and that you care about. But the reality is they don't care about these communities. They want to become friends with people like Donald Trump because they're small men trying to become bigger men with small ideas that harm poor people.
You know, I say all the time that, you know, Project 2025, it is a warning for the nation, but there's already a Project 2025 in the state of Louisiana. It's already being governed by that same exact agenda. Talk about how that agenda has played out for the third of the country, of that state that is black, but also for white poor folks in your state.
You know, the question has to become every time we elect a governor, what are you going to do for the people, right? And when we look at the projects that Jeff Landry's been talking about, all of them are projects that were created by the Democratic governor, his predecessor. And so when you sit in governor as governor for 8 months, you don't have a single economic plan for the state. All of the policies that you're bringing out are to either lock people up, jail people, or strip away the rights of people. How is that a benefit for the prosperity of the people of this state? And if you're poor, or if you're a white person making under $100,000 a year, you are a paycheck away from poverty. And the question becomes, how do you ensure that your family has a future in this state? Because your children are going to move to a state that's blue, because that's where the opportunities are.
Yeah. And meanwhile, Governor Landry is accusing undocumented immigrants and illegals of voting, which is just not true, because, as you said, people are leaving, not coming, because he's not built an economic base in that state that can grow anyone's prosperity except his own and the rich folks. Gary Chambers Jr., thank you for always staying in the fight. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that is tonight's Readout. All In with Chris Hayes starts now.